Last week was our daughter's teen birthday. We decided to go all out for her party for various reasons. This would include a private tour of a place she wanted to go to, and we rented out a room to have a catered dinner. This should have all been just a smooth ride, right? Enter my sister-in-law. My wife and her sister do not get along. They can keep up a casual relationship for family's sake, but that's it. It doesn't help that my experiences with my sister-in-law have been incredibly dramatic. She's quick to play the victim and gaslight. Sister-in-law has 2 daughters who are practically best friends with my daughter, so obviously she wanted to invite them. One big issue with sister-in-law and her family is that when it comes to coordinating anything with them, they're unreliable on a good day and like trying to communicate with a blind deaf person who doesn't speak the same language as you on a bad one. They're never on time, sometimes hours, or in one case, a day, late, and will not communicate at all if they plan to show up. What I hate the most is that she'll just text you randomly after an event starts saying they decided not to come, or show up when they said they couldn't make it. I told her I would handle it because my wife doesn't get along with her. I sent 2 emails and 3 texts and had a 20-minute phone call with sister-in-law months ago, telling her what we were doing for my daughter's birthday. Because of what we were planning, we needed to buy tickets for everyone and tell the caterers how many they were serving. I needed an RSVP as soon as humanly possible to organize this stuff. She either needed to be on time or tell me she couldn't make it. I told her if she ghosted me, there would be no tickets for her and her kids. She ghosted me. I didn't buy her and her kids tickets. Sister-in-law and her kids showed up, on time somehow, for the event. My wife was livid, so I handled the situation on my own and told my sister-in-law and her kids they needed to leave because we didn't get tickets for her. If she wanted to join us for the tour, it would cost quite a bit to get new tickets, and the caterers don't allow alterations after a certain amount of time from the event. At first, she tried to say she did RSVP with me, and then eventually started to shame me. Our guide called security, and in the end, her daughters were escorted away. The event was great, but my sister-in-law's entire family blew up at me and my wife. The event was 2 hours away from sister-in-law's home, and they say it was heartless of me to turn her away after the trip. Along with this, her daughters have now stopped talking to my daughter, telling her that I kicked them out of her party. I explained to my daughter the situation, and she called me an idiot. My wife told me to ignore her family and that my daughter would realize we're not wrong. Not the idiot. You gave her more than enough chances. The one point I would say you are the idiot is not explaining to your daughter ahead of time that if her aunt does an RSVP, her cousins wouldn't have a place at the party. And why? Once doing so, it would be reasonable only to take that RSVP from sister-in-law herself, and not because daughter said cousin said sister-in-law said they'd be there. I think the daughter texted with her cousins during the entire time the party was planned and was blindsided by OP turning them away. At no point did OP ever say to his daughter, "Cousin's mom has an RSVP'd. If she doesn't, there won't be space for them. Have you talked to them about if they plan on going?" OP handled the RSVPs and gave no indication to his daughter that they weren't coming. From my perspective, OP was more interested in proving how bad of a person sister-in-law is than making sure all the people his daughter wanted at the party were there. These are teenagers, not children. They could have RSVP'd for themselves if they were asked. You are the idiot. Since they're already so flaky, I think adding more people to the chain of communication would be a bad move. That creates many more opportunities for communication breakdown. This way, OP tried as best as possible to get the message directly across without anyone else involved. Not the idiot. Actions have consequences. You gave her every chance not to screw it up, and she screwed it up. That's on her. But OP, I'm sorry your teen daughter called you names after you went all out for her birthday. Girl, that's what I said. I'm sitting here like y'all really be letting y'all kids talk to y'all crazy. I can't imagine my daughter saying that. She darn well knows better. I will be treated with respect in my house, and she knows it, especially after a special celebration. My 18 male mom has been dating this guy for 6 months now, and from what she says, it's getting serious. The boyfriend, Mark, thinks I hate him for replacing my dad. In truth, I don't really care. What my mom and dad do in their romantic lives isn't really something that matters to me. The reason Mark is getting on my nerves, however, is his constant insistence that I come to boys' night with him. I think he thinks I'll like him more if I hang out with him. I don't hate him and am indifferent to him, but I have zero desire to go to boys' night with him. Why? Because it sounds excruciatingly boring. He told me when he tried to sell me on it that it was booze, cigars, and poker. I just find that laughably boring. For years now, I've been going to parties and raves with much stronger stuff than booze and cigars, more interesting activities than poker, and more entertaining people than Mark's friends. So the idea he's speaking about his boys' nights as if they're the height of debauchery just makes my eyes roll. I've told him politely, no thanks, for over a month, but he just doesn't get the message. Last Friday, he insisted I come with him again, so I told him point blank that I have no wish to go to his boys' nights, now or ever, and that it sounded so boring, I'd much rather watch the paint dry. He got upset at me and said I was being rude. I just think it's absurd how much a grown man in his 40s wants a teenager to come to hang out with him and how he can't take no for an answer, ever. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. I'd be uncomfortable if I were pressed to smoke and drink with older people. Talk to your mom. Just tell her the truth about you not opposing her romantic life, supporting her, and not comfortable going to boys' nights. While I'm not impressed with your rationale that your raves are much more intense, it's still your choice, and the guy needed to take no for an answer. Legit, just live your life. That man ain't your father, or even related to you. OMG, you are the idiot. And on top of it, you're being a brat. And an arrogant one at that. I'm gonna call it out here. Your stronger, more fun crap and raves probably are fun to you, but where's your compassion, class, and being a good human? Indifference is so rude and gross. It's a terrible way to treat your parents' boyfriend. It's like you don't even consider that she's the person who gave you the ability to party at raves in the first place. Are you sure you don't need to talk to someone to address your deeper feelings about your parents splitting up, even if it was for the best? There could be something below the surface here, and consider that. Such an edgy 18-year-old who's been using hard stuff and raving for years during their formative teenage years. Eye roll. The boyfriend is trying. He should back off and let things progress naturally, or come up with alternate family hangouts. But you're the idiot, OP. This isn't a creepy 40-year-old off the street hounding you. It's your mother's partner who's trying to connect with you. Give him the benefit of the doubt and at least go grocery shopping or something simple like that, where you could spend time together and chat. This happened a month ago. After I, 22 female, finished moving into my first apartment, I invited my family over. My parents, siblings, 3 of them, and their partners, 2 of those. Everyone knows I don't eat meat. I try my best not to be difficult about it, and often bring my own meals to family gatherings. Anyways, the menu was, as a starter, bruschetta as a main, pasta alla norma with garlic bread and salad on the side, and tiramisu as dessert. I thought this covered all the bases, had enough variety, and people seemed to enjoy it. No one went home hungry, but my dad told me that if he knew I wouldn't be serving meat, he wouldn't have come. He made some snarky remarks too, especially about the salad, rabbit food, this is what real food eats, etc. And my brother called me to let me know his girlfriend agrees with my dad and would want real food next time if I'm ever hosting again. Honestly, I don't really want to host again. I spent quite a lot of money and time on this dinner, and it's frustrating when people try to tear it down. But it's generally polite to let people know when a social gathering doesn't meet expectations. Should I have let people know beforehand? Not the idiot. The dinner sounds delicious, and your father and brother's girlfriend sound like bad guests. I eat meat, but I don't expect it in any meal. Interestingly, you have to provide your own meals when you go to their dinner, but your family expects you to accommodate their desire to have meat at your place. How often do you have to make yourself smaller or do without because they care more about themselves than you? Dad told me that he wouldn't have come if he knew I wouldn't be serving meat. Did he make a fuss like a little kid because he realized he ordered something without meat? The audacity, LMAO. Well, now you know your family wasn't coming to spend time with you, but just to get free food. And I bet those people told you that a polite guest doesn't complain about the host to her face, right? Take out the vegetarian and meat-eating situation. You invited guests, planned a menu, cooked the food, and served them a nice dinner. Your family is just rude. Instead of not hosting again, let them know that you won't be serving meat when hosting. If they want meat so badly, they can do as you do when they're hosting and come with their own meals, or don't come at all. If they're going to whine that salad is food for real food, they can cook themselves at home. So my girlfriend and I have been dating for 7 months. We're both late 20s, and things have been going well. This issue, however, has been our first argument, so to speak. So the past month or so, we've been getting serious and talking about moving in together. Not sure if this was the catalyst for this behavior, but I digress. So I noticed that if we're out at places, my girlfriend will tell little white lies to strangers. For instance, we were out walking my dog, and a couple asked if they could pet him. We said yes, and that led to them asking how old he was and if he was a shelter dog, blah, blah, blah. Before I could even pipe up, my girlfriend stepped in and went, "Oh, well, we got him several years ago, and he's just been the best dog to cuddle with over the years, and my life wouldn't be the same if we hadn't adopted him." Another example, we went to a restaurant that I enjoyed going to and struck up a conversation with a new bartender, and she said that this place had been our date night place for several years. So they're lies. I mean, not a huge deal, and they aren't hurting anyone. But for some reason, this just irks me to no end. So I asked her why she needed to do this, because it bugged me a lot. She said it wasn't a big deal. She just wanted to feel included in my previous life, and that even though my ex and I adopted my dog together, it's her dog now, and telling strangers this makes her feel better. I was nice, but asked her to please not do that anymore, as it makes me uncomfortable. She agreed to stop, but said I was blowing it out of proportion and being an idiot over something small, and had been pouty all day. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. Eventually, you'll probably come to realize that she tells similar lies to you. It's only been 7 months. When someone shows you who they are, believe them. Personally, this is just a disaster waiting to happen because she sounds like she's got some serious issues to overcome. I tread very carefully. I think she's trying to erase your past, little by little. Aren't you concerned? Pretty soon it'll be that you guys met in high school and have been high school sweethearts. She'll start questioning your memories. It's just going to be the plot for Gaslight soon enough. This is the biggest concern. The lying is dumb, but the reason behind it is not. From the nature of the lies, it sounds like there's a reason. She wants to present their relationship as more established than it is, so she's building a fantasy of years together. This way, she eliminates his past, such as choosing the dog with his ex, so she's insecure and dishonest. Plus, she's struggling to differentiate between her fantasy of how she'd like things to be and how they actually are. If she's doing this when the relationship is at its best and easiest phase, what kind of stories will she tell when she's not happy? Honestly, OP, I'd seriously consider if you want to keep dating her. This is a pretty big red flag. I have 2 boys with my ex-wife, and a boy and a girl with my wife, in that order. The boys primarily live with their mom. I want all my assets to be divided equally among all 4 of my children. I feel a duty towards all of them equally. However, my wife feels our mutual kids should get more percentage because my ex-wife has done quite nicely for herself, and the boys are set for life. My wife and I aren't close to poor, but definitely not at the level of my ex-wife, who's always been really good with money. Neither of us pays child support to the other, because although they live with her most of the time, she does make a lot more money. I've always felt guilty that, in effect, she has contributed the most to bringing up the boys, both labor and money, while I saw them a couple of times a year at most. My wife is a stay-at-home mom and worked part-time for a while when the kids were about 6 or 7. Then she decided she didn't want to go to work anymore. In essence, all the cash in our household comes from me, so we're not exactly rich like the boys' mom. Most of the money's under my name only, except for the house and the joint bank account for household expenses. I've arranged for my share to evenly go to all 4 parties, and my wife's share to go to the mutual kids only. I will not receive anything if she passes first, and vice versa. My wife thinks I'm converting her household labor to cash and giving it to my ex-wife, which makes no sense to me. While I value her contributions to everything, she did benefit from living without a job for so long and continues to do so. I don't mind providing for her, so it felt unfair to say I was exploiting her. And my ex-wife is not receiving any money from me whatsoever. Only my sons are. My wife thinks I shouldn't leave anything to the boys because they already receive emotional heirlooms from my mother, who sadly passed away before our kids were born. They don't have much monetary value, as they shouldn't be sold anyway. Extra info. I don't see why my son and daughter should get extra. If I had sent child support to the boy's mom, I wouldn't feel so bad. My ex-wife did more for my kids with her than my wife did for our mutual kids because I was a very involved parent. I'm not leaving any inheritance to my wife. Investments and savings that I've made, etc., go to the kids only. If I pass on too early, she'll have to support herself. So she wants to shortchange your other kids because your ex made good financial decisions? Not the idiot. Your children are all equal, different mothers or not, so you're right to want to treat them equally. The issue is that he's leaving almost all his assets to his children and almost nothing to his wife. If he dies significantly earlier than she does, she'll be screwed without even a house to live in. Then their mutual kids will be stuck trying to figure out how to support their mother when their father left her with nothing, especially as the cost of housing goes up. If he wants to leave some to his children with his ex, they should get 50%, and his wife should get 50%. Then the joint kids inherit from her when she passes. She could work, though. She just doesn't want to. She feels like the kids are old enough to work during the school day. If she wants your kids to be on equal footing with your other kids, then maybe she should do what your ex-wife did and provide for her family financially. If she doesn't want to work, then she should live with the consequences of her actions. She does work. She just doesn't get paid for it. You are the idiot for leaving your wife with nothing. The house and bank accounts are in your name. If your assets are evenly divided between the children, the house will probably be sold and the money divided. Where will your wife and your 2 youngest live? Yeah, so now he's just like, I don't care if you're homeless when I die. I feel guilty for not being there for 2 of my kids and think the money they don't need will make up for my lack of presence in their lives. He's barely been a part of his first kids' lives. They don't need his money, and he can't turn back the clock now. The need should be more important than his guilt.